Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Tides podcast. In each episode, we invite guests to have honest conversations about their mental health journeys with the goal of destigmatizing mental health within the Asian American Pacific Islander community. Due to the nature of the podcast, we'll be discussing a variety of mental health topics and possibly triggering experiences. While we and the majority of our guests are not trained professionals, we encourage you to practice self-care while listening and seek professional guidance if you or a loved one is in need of support. With that said, let's start the episode.
Hey, what's up? My name is Kang, and I describe a mental health journey like a river.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Changing Tides podcast. I am your host, Matthew Yonemura. Honored to be here as always with another amazing podcast interview. Not that I am the amazing part, more so that we have another amazing guest. This guest is, I met him through Uprisers, the clothing brand Michelle Hanabusa started. If you remember from season 1 of the podcast, we interviewed Michelle to talk about her journey to create Uprisers, the clothing brand, and how she got here, because it's been she's such an amazing person. I'm so honored to know Michelle and to know her whole team now, this guest included. So just to let you know, a little content warning, we do discuss suicide in this episode. So if might be difficult for you to listen to this episode, maybe take a step back before going on and listening to this episode. But just be aware that that is something we discuss. And also, if you're sensitive to cuss words, that is something that our guest today was not afraid to do, which I gave him the green light. I was like, hey, dude, be yourself, please. I think that's the best way to do a podcast. So with that said, just be aware of what everything is going forward. And I'm really excited to hear for you to hear from this really creative person who just goes for it, full send, as he says. So without further ado, here's the interview that I had with Kevin Kang. Kevin, Himothy, thank you so much for being on the podcast, my guy. I met you through Uprisers, and I know you're embarking on a big journey, but I want to start with this mental health journey before we get into any of that, and why you described it as a river. So if you could explain why it is a river and how you got there.
So for my mental health journey, I feel like there has been periods of time where it's felt like, where it's a babbling brook, where it's just kind of like bubbling, it's not much happening, and where moments of it when it's like kind of like gentle and serene, right? And then there's like the rapids and like the waterfalls. And the place that I try to feel like the most at peace and the water is like flowing, but like maybe not still, because still water is like not moving water, but like it's flowing, it's deep, but it's calm. And that's like
Gotcha.
the place I try to be at the most, and try to like remember that where a river flows, that's kind of where it ends up.
Got you, for sure, man. I love to hear that. I mean, it goes along with so many people that we've had on this podcast and just people like we talk to and mental health, like the aspect of it constantly changing. The mental health journey is always changing. I think you're hitting on that. I like that description. Um, I mean, I'm going to do this little intro about you later on, but I can't capture one job title when I describe you. So Kevin, before I get to my questions, who are you, man? What's your journey? What's your occupation? You're a man of many skills. So let us know a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm also going to talk about um where I first met you too, because
For sure.
that's actually part of the story.
Okay, for sure.
Um, so hey, what's up? My name is Kevin Kang, aka Two Kangs, aka Riz Al Ghul. Um, for me, I'm a creative producer. I'm also a technical producer. I got my start. I was actually a behavioral interventionist straight out of college. And then I was also a substitute teacher after that. And during my time as a substitute teacher, I was just kind of like figuring out, I was a young adult, right? I got hit up with my best friend Connor. Connor Lamb, the COO of Steezy. And at the time, he had this like blog that he was like trying to start up and eventually turned into like a YouTube channel. And he was trying to make an online like dance class platform. And he asked me if I wanted to work on the YouTube channel for it. So that's where I got my start as a producer. That's where also I became a creative producer because I also write. So I had launched the series Viral Dance Moves Explained, where we had gone over the origins of like viral dance moves because Black creators had not been given a lot of credit for their work in the past because the way that dance information had been passed along just through like over time, like basically people had to watch it through like VHS tapes previously, right?
Hmm.
VHS tapes. And like you like literally you just had to find a tape and like somebody had to like watch a dude waving and they just didn't even have instructions. They just had to watch it and learn it, right? And then it went to YouTube. So the way that it was being passed along, there wasn't that much like oral or like, visual written history on it. So worked on that. I also launched a series, three choreographers, one song,
I love that
three
series, by the way.
dancers.
I didn't
Yeah.
know you were behind that. Love that series. I saw one of the Eastwood, Bam Martin, Brian Puspos one. I think they're all three in it.
Oh, you're I think Melvin Tim Tim.
Yes. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
shot that one. I
Love
shot that. I
that.
did the camera work for that one.
Won't interrupt anymore, but keep going. But dude, love that series. It's so dope.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I will say that that was the brainchild of the whole team.
Hmm.
I did facilitate a lot of it. I wrote down the initial first script and I also pitched it to the dancers because I've been in the dance community for 13 years now.
Mm.
And I had made friends with those dancers as I was working, as I was like competing against them and like performing. Um, might just go into like part of my mental health journey
Yeah,
over here
yeah.
too.
Let's start with
But
that.
yeah, so uh it was in 2019. So my grandma had actually passed away. She had caught lung disease.
Mm.
I'm not too sure what lung disease it was, but her lungs were hardening and I wasn't able to go see her before she passed away. And that was one of her dying wishes, right? And I was working at Stacey and I had all this pressure because like I was like the first producer that was there, and basically like I had no prior experience. Like I was a substitute teacher. Like I was teaching kids how to like make chocolate covered strawberries for their moms and like do arts and crafts with, like popsicle sticks. I literally did a lecture on like Naruto for one of them.
Hmm.
Like I did a whole tree, like, yo, this is Naruto, this is Sasuke, this is like Kakashi. Like it's like
Uh,
super random, super random, but um I had no prior experience. I graduated with human development. And before that, I was like a theater, arts, anthropology. Like I have been in like a lot of different fields. So I feel like that's kind of representative and why it's so confusing to like look at my resume and
mhm.
you're like, this guy, yeah. Um, so around that time, like my grandma passed away and like my mental health was like declining. I had all this pressure to work for me. So I just like kind of crumbled under all that pressure because like I was like I had so much success starting off, right? Like I grew a channel from 22,000 to 635,000 in like 2 years. We started getting like millions of views on the videos. And like that was a result of like diligent hard work and like all the work fell on me. And um there wasn't enough funding to have a bigger team at the time. So I had all this like weight and pressure on me and I just started crumbling and like I just always felt so I guess I felt a lot of guilt and like it's something I've been working on and like forgive myself and hopefully that's something that like when I talk about like what I'm doing in the future a little bit later I'll have a little more resolution on that but um I'd start grumbling, man, and that was like right before the pandemic,
Mhm.
right? And right around that time when I got laid off, uh I was working for ComplexCon. And before that, I've been to ComplexCon once. My friend had like got me in. Her name is Victoria. She shout out Victoria, by the way, Ayad. She works with Complex Cons as well. And she had got me in. And the second one, she was like, yo, if you guys want to be a mascot performer, you just hit me up. Like you get paid for it. You get paid for the whole weekend. I was like, dope. I don't know who it's for. And then she was like, yo, it's for Takashi Murakami. I was like, sick, absolutely. I had just been started like, I've been like a big fan of like streetwear, and I didn't really take my education seriously until a little bit after, but like that was kind of like my starting point. I was literally in this like furry ass suit with like a big ass sunflower on my head. The puke man, I was also in that one too, and it was just like super uncomfortable. But the other one was just a lot more fun because I was just like this happy little sunflower with like
Right,
two
right, right.
faces, right? I think around that time was when I had my first like inkling of a notion where I was like, I would really love to work a booth here someday. Like I don't know what it would be for. Things have just it's weird. Like things have just like, kind of happened in my life and like career, and I've just kind of like put it out into the universe. I feel like that works. That helps a lot. So I put it out into the universe, and then the pandemic happened. Pandemic, I had just started going back to Steezy, and I had no opportunity to really move up. And like
Mhm.
with the rising cost of like living and stuff, I was like struggling. Um, so I hit up my friend Michelle Hanabusa, and this was around like Lionsgate, which is like August 8th. I'm also a Leo in my horoscope, which is I find like these I have like these weird coincidences that I tend to draw a lot
Uh-huh.
and within my life, right? And I had asked her on Lionsgate, I made the decision to like I just wanted to put myself out there to just do something different and just make like a leap of faith. So I asked her like, hey, if you need any help with, producing like brand activation type stuff, like, let
Mhm.
me know. Like I would love to just help you out. And I know that, Uprisers had been working in the nonprofit space. So I decided like, I would love to donate part of my time there to like help out my community. And Michelle was like, dude, great timing. I have like six different projects for you to work on. I was like, oh, cool. And then ComplexCon was one of them. And then fast forward, I had been working with Uprisers for about a year and a half. I had just retired uh March 1st. But yeah, within that time, it's been great, man.
Mhm.
Like around that time, I did my first ComplexCon,
That was
which is a
August
great
8th
feeling.
of last year.
Of 2020?
Okay.
Yeah, what was it, 2020? Oh, 2021.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Just want to get the timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2021. It's 2023 now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So August 8th of 2021, I had asked, um, and then that's when I had started working for her. And then I made the jump because then in November, usually I think ComplexCon is always in November, right?
Mm.
November 15th, 18th weekend usually. So I had worked on like doing the whole campaign for it. So
Hmm.
I helped design out the layout of the booth that like basically every part of the activation. I had worked hand in hand with Michelle to like detail out with how people were going to look at product, how people, were gonna have like a picture-ish moment. So I was like in brainstorm meetings with Michelle, like hella late. We were in the office like
Mm.
forever and just like looking at a whiteboard, like trying to visualize the thing and like understand the floor plan. If you want to ask me any questions about this in the meantime, like feel
For
free to
sure.
ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have like a million questions that I've been trying to write down and keep up with.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I say a little bit, kind of a lot of bit. So when
Yeah.
were you a behavioral therapist?
I was a behavioral therapist out of college, so in 2015,
Okay.
like 2015, 2016, around that time.
So okay, so 2016, 2015, you're working in the mental health field, right? But
Yeah.
then I think you said that your mental health kind of journey kind of began in like 2019. Was that right? Roughly?
You know,
Which I think would make sense because like you go through your personal mental health journey too.
my personal mental health, yeah, I guess so, but
Hmm.
like I'm just gonna draw it back to like where I first met you.
Mm.
So I met you at Changing Tides in Long Beach.
Hmm.
And around that time, like while I was in college, I had lost a friend. I had lost two friends. One was Andy. I had lost him to leukemia, and uh, man, I always regretted like not seeing him more when he was in the hospital because he had gotten better. He
Mm,
was like active again, and he went back in the hospital, and then it just ended up being too late, you know. And then during that time, I was also like, you know, again, I was in the dance scene, right? We were in dance. I was in dance teams. I was on Pac Modern. I was also on a dance team called Hall of Fame. And in the meantime, so I don't know if you guys know this about dance culture. We also do like a lot of different projects.
mm,
So there's these like little project teams we'll do like for like one-off performances. And there was this guy named Jerry who was on Pac Modern, and uh he had asked me to do a project. And sometime after that, I didn't do the project because it just didn't make sense for me because I think I was working as a behavioral interventionist. But uh he committed suicide,
mm,
and it was at the parking lot of the track center that
mm.
I met you.
Really?
Yeah. So you know how
Wow.
that's that track center, that parking lot that was next to it, that big
Yeah. Yeah.
structure? I actually saw it happen.
Wow.
Um, I didn't see it happen in person, but I saw it via Snapchat because he had recorded his last moments,
Mm,
and somebody had shown me the footage, and that always kind of fucked me up, man. Like, and that's why like I try to just come from a place of empathy towards people
mhm,
because I've just seen what happens. I think I've felt this like guilt that I've been dealing with for a long time of like
mm,
abandonment, right?
mm,
Abandonment and also like abandoning other people. So because I wasn't there for him to like do that one just one dance project, right? Just
mhm,
uh I've always just regretted it because he was just like the happiest guy. Nobody knew that he was going through these issues because he was always just like cracking jokes, and I related a lot to him. And like I didn't know that he was also like drinking so
mm.
heavily. And he would do this a lot with his friends where he would like drink regularly, like in the parking lots. And yeah, so it's really complicated to say when my like mental health journey started because I had dealt with just so many different like traumatic experiences like
Right.
throughout my life, man.
Yeah. No,
Um,
no, I mean that makes a lot of sense because I think some people I encounter, it's like there's a clear point where you know your mental health journey begins. But I mean, what I was kind of trying to touch on, is just because you were a behavioral therapist in 2015 and your journey might have started later doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you weren't experiencing mental health, but maybe it wasn't on your radar, right?
I I thought that like anything that happened to me, like mental wise, like I have a stronger mental grasp on it
Mm,
if I just put my mind to it. And I realized that is not always the case. And like you are to get hooked if, sometimes you don't get help, you know? Personally, I have not received help. Like I've just done a lot for myself in terms of like self-work. I'm also a Christian and I read the Bible frequently. And uh I think no matter what you do, there is some sort of like work to be done with your mental health, whether that's like intergenerational trauma, whether that's like actual trauma that you experience.
mhm. Yeah, it's never over for
I
sure.
will, yeah, it's never over. And like I actually, you know, I think I do know when my mental health journey started. It actually started at a really young age because my dad has psoriasis well, my dad's passed away now, but
Mm,
um my dad has psoriasis, right? And when I grew up, um I had this notion where I would avoid stress because one of the factors that caused psoriasis was stress.
mhm,
So for me, I think I always had this like kind of like carefree and like maybe potentially like non-confrontational attitude. Because I was told that like if I was stressed, I would get this disease. And I like saw my father grow up with it at such a young age where he wasn't able to like sleep with my mother in the same bed because he had like all these flakes. If you guys don't know what psoriasis is, it's a skin disease,
mhm,
and it gives you like basically dandruff like all over your body and like painful rashes. So my dad would often like sleep like not with my mother because he didn't want to like make her uncomfortable and also like leave too much, like debris on the bed. So he would go and sleep outside on like a wooden uh ever seen like those like Asian wooden rugs? You know what I'm
I
talking
think I
about?
know
They're
what
kind
you're
of like
talking about.
slats. Yeah, it's like
Mm,
maybe bamboo
mm,
sometimes. So we had those when I was growing up, and my I would find my dad sleeping out over there, and like I was always so confused because like I thought my mom and my dad would have like marital issues,
mm.
and I just I was always just trying to fight hard for them to like to reconcile with each other and like to take care of each other because I just didn't know. I was so naive when I was young.
Mm.
Um, but I think that is a lot of what like the issues that like of me like not confronting my issues
Hmm.
kind of stem from like such a young age, and I didn't realize it until I got older.
Right.
So once I started realizing that, that was just kind of like where mentally I just started having like a shift in attitude about my own mental
Gotcha.
health.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, I could point to like little moments when I was younger that hinted towards mental health issues. But like, I always said like my mental health journey really began like junior year of high school, even though there were other moments. I think junior year was when I
Mm.
was aware of things. But I wanted to get back to your story, and I'm not trying to make it about me, but you've hinted at when we met at Long Beach. I want to let you pick up what you were going to say about that.
Yeah, so when I met you that day, like it was a very cathartic moment, maybe like a full circle moment, right?
Hmm.
Um, to be able to be in that spot because I had not been to Long Beach since I saw that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I used to be, I was just this pothead who like loved dancing, and like I used to dance in front of the pyramid. I used to
Yeah,
dance in
yeah.
front of the pyramid, and there's like a building next to it, and like there's no mirrors over there. It's just like it's like this pebbly ass concrete. It would fuck up all my vans, and like we would just dance. It was because when it was dark, you could see your reflection better
Hmm.
in the glass. So we
Hmm.
would dance in front of the art buildings out over there. So I was literally there to like 3 in the morning sometimes, just like freestyling, and it had become a place where I just felt so like I just didn't want to return to for a
Hmm.
long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, when I went over there and I realized like, oh shit, it's at Long Beach, and I was like, oh shit, this is exact I'm like literally pulling up to the same parking lot that I saw this thing happen to Jerry. Um, it was nice to come from a place where I felt a lot more in control of like how I feel about things.
Mm.
Um, I've experienced anxiety and like anxiety attacks to the point where it felt like um I think there's like the scene in Old Boy where like there's a bunch of ants like crawling all over his skin.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen that movie, Old
Dude, it's
Boy?
been on my list for so long. But continue. It's been on my list for so long. But yeah.
Is a the movie is messed up,
Hmm.
but there's a scene where it feels like there's like ants like crawling all over his skin. I've felt that like same physical sensation over
Mm.
like just feeling so sick about like something that happened. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
like um I've experienced that like a few times in my life when like extremely traumatic things have happened, and like for me to like go back and like feel it's like a lot more control of my emotions, it just felt really relieving
Mm.
to be there. Because like for me, I think it's also really important to sometimes maybe visit the place where you experience trauma and like have like a sense of like closure and like peace with it, because like you can run from a place for majority of your life, but like
Yeah.
if you don't confront and like combat that fear sometimes, like
Hmm.
I'm a very big on combating your fears, and if you can like tell by my career, like it has always been like flight or flight, and I've always chose fight.
Fight. Yeah, yeah.
I was like, which
Okay.
hand did I choose for fight or flight, dude?
Yeah, yeah. So just for a little more clarity, so when we say that we met at Long Beach, that was for our Changing Tides Ripple Effect Walk for Suicide Prevention. So just to give more context to like the listener, I mean, I'm kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it for your sake, like how much of a full circle it is for you to experience such a horrific event that took place at Long Beach. pull up to the same parking lot for a suicide prevention event, you know? So just to provide that context to people. But then also one thing I wanted to, what I think is kind of to touch on what you said about returning to a place where there was trauma. You know, whenever people are ready for that step, I agree. It can be empowering to do that. But like, I'm sure like in dancing or if you've played sports, like, I mean, dancing is a sport, but like a sprained ankle, for example, once you heal up, you have to test out that ankle again to make sure like, oh, like I have it back, right? You could do this move or whatever it might be. So I think to kind of connect, like mental health should be treated in the same way as physical health. Like it's true, like sometimes you do have to gain that power back mentally the same way you have to gain that power back physically in a physical activity. So I just wanted to touch on that because I agree. I think it happens at different rates for people, but mentally you could get that power back, whether it be a place or a person or an activity, right? Like you kind of get that power back. So
Yeah. Because like I feel like places hold a lot of like power in your life. Like I'm trying to think of another example. I'll jump straight to this one, but like my dad passed away from COVID,
mm-hmm.
and this was like an extremely traumatic time for me. This happened like just last year. It has been like February 15th was the 1 year anniversary of when it happened. But he had gotten COVID while he's a truck driver, and he had gotten COVID while he's on the road, and he got caught in a snowstorm. So he had caught pneumonia,
Was
paraplex. He
yeah.
had caught pneumonia. Sorry, I tend to make like crack jokes at like very like
I
inappropriate
understand.
times.
I understand.
It's
Yeah,
just like just the way I cope with things.
I understand.
But he had caught pneumonia, and he had ended up uh it was really confusing around that time because like we were trying to figure out where he was, but he was like super incoherent. He was also sick. Like I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
this, but he also got into like 2 car accidents while he was like on the way back over there. And he was supposed to be back in like Ontario for us to pick him up, and we had found him in Vegas, like in a like a trucking yard, and he had like been in there for like days
Mm-hmm.
before like anything, like before we found him, before we even came to the hospital, right? And he passed away in Vegas. And for me, that was like it was so heartbreaking because like we had not gone together to Vegas in a long time, and Vegas was a really important place to us as a family, because like my family went to Vegas a lot when we were children. Like that was the place that we always went to vacation. I think that's the only place we ever really went for vacations besides like camping,
Mm-hmm.
and that was because we were poor. So our dad would take us there, and I think like for me, my life has been around has revolved a lot around like facing my fears.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes for me to do that, like it's helpful for you to be able to go to a place and not remove the memory, but like honor that memory,
Mm-hmm.
but also be okay with creating new memories there as well.
Right, right. You know, on the note of like conquering your fears, you know, fight instead of flight, like you've jumped into so many fields, and I was curious, like when you made the jump from, you know, being a behavioral therapist and teaching, you know, more of what would be considered a stereotypical like steady job to explore the arts, and like you sought out an agency, and then you jump into all these other roles, like was any bit of you scared to go into that, or was it something that you were more excited to do, like to go and into your passion?
Hell yeah, dude, it was fucking scary.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie, this shit was fucking scary,
Yeah,
bro. I dude, it was so fucked up, man. I like when I started interning for CZ, like they wanted me to intern full time. I was like, wait, I'm gonna be making like so much less money. I worked for
mm,
like literally minimum wage.
mm-hmm.
I went from working like I was making $20 an hour. I think like the that was like my new standard at the time because I was working at the VA hospital. I think I was making like maybe 15, 20. It was a lot at the time, you know what
At
I
the
mean?
time,
Like
that's
back
a
in
lot.
at the
Yeah,
time, yeah, I was like, dude, I'm doing great. Like I'm hitting the
yeah,
20s, like I'm just only up from here. And they're like, yeah, you're making like 15 bucks an hour or like 10 to 15 bucks an hour. I was just like, holy shit. Like, and I have to
yeah.
spend all this time like being there. And my dad's just like, this is a startup, dude. Like there's like we were literally working out of a kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Like there's literally a picture of me like working with like four other people in the kitchen
Mm.
of, and then like Clay Buntanake, his mom was like making us curry.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She was making us curry and she was like, yeah, just good job, guys. Like keep at
yeah.
it. So you guys have a great idea. And
Uh-huh.
like we're like, thanks, Mrs. Buntanake.
Wait, is
And we were just
Clay?
like
Hold
eating
on,
the
hold on, hold
curry.
on. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your story, but is Clay
Yeah.
Boone one of the with Steezy? Is he like, or is it separate?
Oh, that okay. So Clay Buntanake, his brother is Max Buntanake.
Okay.
Max Buntanake makes Boon sauce.
Oh, interesting. Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Because I was just curious because I was Instagram stalking you before to get an awareness of who you are, so I could put this together, try to ask you good questions. But Clay Boone, when it was like OG YouTube days, I saw his "Singing in the Rain" performance for like his like high school talent show thing. I remember
Damn,
being
you went
that.
oh, that's deep.
Oh no, no, this is from when I was a kid. Like I remember that video.
Yeah.
This wasn't during my
Yeah.
research. I remember that video. I was like, this is the coldest dance I've ever seen, and I was like, yeah, that was like the standard at the time. I was like, this dude gets it. But I was cool. It was cool to
Yeah,
see
man.
that you had so much association with that family. But anyway, so you're working out the kitchen. You just work. His family is kind of like you guys on.
Yeah. My relationship with Clay, I love that dude.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's taught me so much,
Mm,
like within my producing career to be a creative. Because like before that, prior, I think my creative endeavor started like in high school.
mm,
Basically at my last year, I was like, was it maybe my junior year? I was like a theater arts kid.
got you.
I was like, yeah, I want to be an actor because like I
Cool.
really wanted to be a Power Ranger when I was growing up.
Dope.
But back to like
Yeah.
Clay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I learned so much stuff as a creative because like in high school, that's where I got my like first start. And yeah, that's where I'm going. In a program called Alternative Program North, where they try to teach kids like different life skills and like
Mhm.
they also have them do like creative projects. So that's where I made like my first dance video, right?
Cool. Cool. Cool.
So besides that, I had been doing I had just been like performing on stage and stuff. But like when
Uh-huh.
it came to like being a creative and like having a process and a workflow, like I think like fostered
That's
a
dope.
lot of that like process and like mentality within me. Because I had like I think a lot of my friends knew that I had like this creative spark, but I just never knew how to like properly utilize it
Mm,
until I met somebody and worked like deeply with Clay, like being his production assistant to like being his producer and then
right.
also like writing for him.
So when you so like we were talking about like when you first ventured into it and it was scary to explore the like being a creative. But at what point did you say I'm going full force into being a creative? And how was your family support like?
I think like probably at the end of my internship,
Mm,
right? At the end of my internship, I have been work like basically these people were my best friends, and I had put in the time. Like, Connor, my best friend, was also like a large mentor. He's been a large mentor in my life,
mm,
and he has always been pushing me to like to do it, and also just have the like mentality towards like work, and also just yeah, just I think work ethics, morals, like um. I saw that and I was like kind of just enwrapped in it. And I started like leaning more towards my purpose there versus like me being a school teacher. Like I
yeah.
think I never wanted that for me. Like I wanted to be a freaking Power Ranger, bro. Like
Hmm.
yeah. So I like was leaning more into doing that once they offered me like a full-time job
For
there
sure. For sure.
at the end of the internship. I was like, all right, let's run with it. And then like I think maybe like a year in, like it's weird. Like a start of my second year, always like in a position is always super strong. And like that's when I saw like the most amount of growth within
Mm,
it because I had just taken all that experience. I had been going to like YouTube Academy, and taking the classes over there, learning how to do like 5 point story structure on like videos, but also learning how to make it for like a YouTube format, also like an educational format, which played a lot to my strengths because TZ is an educational dance platform, right?
hmm.
Um, with like the online dance classes and the YouTube videos, they had done a lot of how to tutorials, right?
Hmm.
So I had learned using what I learned from like my previous experience as like working in school districts, working in behavior, and then also working in dance. Like I had just started like adding all these things from my tool belt and like being able to display it, and I started seeing like really good results. So I think that's when I was like, I think I am built different.
That's dope, man. No, I love to hear
Yeah.
that. Like you just worked your way there, and then, but like, I know you expressed a lot of love for your family, but I am wondering, like, was it supportive, or did it take a while for your family to come around?
I still fight with my family
Mm,
on like getting any type of support. I'm
mm,
just gonna be completely honest.
mm-hmm,
Um, and sometimes it's like hurtful because I just want them to be proud of me, you know? And now I have only two women in my family. So now I have two women in my life, the most important people I have to please. Right. And like if they don't see me doing well, they're just like, yeah, maybe you're just not cut out for it, dude. I'm just
mm,
like, fuck.
mm-hmm,
Um, and like sometimes, like even with like my performances and things like that, like they didn't always show up to everything, you know? Like I remember I can count on like my hand, like how many times they've shown up to like
mm,
um going to my performances or even like visiting me at the office. Like they visited me like maybe once during the entire time at CZ, and like I had shown him all the things, and it was such a I'm just getting like a little emotional thinking about it because like that was like one of the last times like around that Christmas where me and my whole family were like together,
mm-hmm,
and I had been able to show them like this is the company that I've been like, you know, putting all my time into. Like I really believe in the vision, and it was like hurtful sometimes when they didn't like fully trust me. And then like things when I like have my separation for Steezy, they were not as understanding because my family is like very loyalist.
mm,
Just like they're to them, like loyalty is like everything, you know, and
mm-hmm,
that's means a lot to me too. But I also do understand like there are, you know, there's just nuances to it, right?
mm-hmm,
Just understand what your priorities are and like be be responsible, be mature about what it is, and
mm-hmm.
you know, look out for yourself and take care of others.
So another thing that you've mentioned, like you've named some very what I think are powerful and cool AAPI people in the industry, and then who we know are really cool AAPI people like Michelle. And in this recent Instagram post of yours where you went really in depth and you were very honest, which I appreciated. You gave Michelle her flowers, super deserved. I love Michelle, and I wanted to see like because you've been able to work with so many AAPI folks in the industry, like what has it meant for you to like be surrounded by the culture while you're pursuing a career? Because not everyone's as lucky to do that. So like to have an AAPI influence in your work, what has that been like for you to have that?
Mm. Well, first off, I will stand by Michelle till the day I die. Like I am so I that woman has my loyalty forever. Um, she picked me up when I was down, so I'm just gonna say that like just for the audience, if you don't know Michelle, that woman is always in meetings. That woman is working, bro. Like I was like, I don't know when you have time to do all this other work and have all these meetings. I look at your account, I can see your calendar, and I'm just like, I don't know how you do it, you
It's
know?
insane.
The dedication, the amount of dedication that she puts into it, and also the ability to, you know, it's scary. Like I honestly like to be able to say that like you want to put your community first in front of profits because
Mm,
like you also need your profits
yeah,
to do stuff for your community. You know what I mean? Like you gotta grow it. You gotta like scale up your company. There's like all this business shit that like gets really is like really important, right? For you to be like, you know what? We're okay with going a little bit slower as long as like we make the impact on our community. That comes first, and that's what matters. Like I have a lot of respect, and I've like that also kind of just like restored my faith in like the type of work that I do. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, I just need to like just keep working and like hustling. Like for me, it's always mattered. If at first it always mattered about like the culture, the community, and the people that I was serving first, and then during that time, like I sort of got lost, and she kind of like picked me up and she put me back like on that right track. So I'll
Mm.
just make sure that like that's why I always try to make sure that I give her flowers whenever I can. I always do that with her dad too. Whenever her dad's around, I'm always gassing her up. And then yeah, so her dad like loves me. It's so funny. Um, Working with like AAPI community, I will say that like damn, it's crazy. Cause like just even thinking about like everything everywhere all at once at the Oscars, right?
Mhm.
People in this field, people in my industry in this industry, like there are so few of us. Like we're all spread everywhere, right? We're all doing like all these different things. And to be in a place where you're able to feel like you're around all this stuff, it is so like it helps you feel seen.
Mm.
It helps you feel seen, and it's so rewarding to do that and to also be in the right place. Because like I feel like LA has this stigma of like, you know, it's all like glitz and glam, like we're all fake because we're all trying to make it Hollywood, the Hollywood yada yada blah 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 shit, right? And then to be in that community where it feels a little more collectivist, but also individual, right? Which is like the beautiful part of it, where we're able to stand together and also have like ideals and do that, but also as a community be able to like be okay with touching each other and being fucking real and be like human with each other. And also just to see the amount of excellence that goes hand in hand everywhere. Like when I started working in streetwear, when I started working uprising, when I started working, being around Hades Virus, like 88 Rising and stuff, to be able to see Asian culture and like the business and like the community and like the arts that we're like putting out, it's like super inspiring to see it. And it just for them to be like to feel seen, and also for the people in that community to like uplift you as well when you're also going through like tough times. Like,
Hmm.
dude, I don't think I would have like kept working in this field if it didn't happen.
Hmm. That's wild because I mean it's true. Like look at I mean I could even go back I mean everything ever all at once of course, but like if you even go back to like when Parasite won everything, right? It's like the rising tide lifts all boats, and then you see all other Asian excellence kind of come to the surface. Like 88 Rising's been big, but like what does that do for the next Asian American music label or Asian music label or Uprisers and how that influences the next Asian led clothing brand? Like just when you see success, like it's made possible, you have to see it to believe it kind of thing, you know? So it's super cool to kind of that you've been able to be a part of all that. But we've talked a lot, but I want to give you your flowers, and I want to give you the opportunity because I want to know what you're stepping away from Uprisers, not because you hate Michelle, because as you said, you stand with her
Yeah, she's
forever.
whack.
But
No,
I
I'm
want to
just kidding. I
hear,
love you.
yeah. I want to give you, I want to ask you about, this next chapter in your life, which you've said is like a dream for you, and where this dream comes from and why now.
Okay, so this ties in with like some of the stuff that I mentioned previously. So I also work for BB Go sometimes.
Mm.
Um, I'll be an occasional like fry cook for them, so I'll be like making mandu and like I actually enjoy it.
Hmm.
I'm just like literally in front of a fryer and I'm just like, yeah, people are gonna eat these delicious dumps, dude. These delicious dumplings. They're gonna eat this. So that's actually an aspiration of mine, like in the future when I'm older, to
Mm.
like own like a noodle stand.
Cool.
But anyways, what's happening like right now? Um, I was working for BB Go. They flew me out to Savannah, Georgia to work at the CJ Cup.
Mm.
So that's an invitational golf tournament with like the top 25 like Asian players. They flew me out to Savannah. I spent a week out there and I had explored the city like by myself. Um, saw like walked around the streets, like drank with people and like just hung out. Like I was hanging out with like the people that I came with, and there were some nights where I just like went out alone. I was like, I'm just gonna wander around these streets, and I was like sitting, like basically we're on this like billionaires like golf course where they hosted the golf tournament, and like my one of my dreams has always been to make a series, make a television series and a movie based off of like my experience within the dance community because I felt like there's always could have been like a better step up because it just there's this story that like people try to put out of like, yeah, hip hop saved my life, and like it's just so one dimensional of like what that story is versus like there's such a there's such a broad spectrum of people within this community who work in that space, right? Um, and wanted to put my foot forward when I was working on that golf course. I was just like looking out into like a pond where this big ass like pond. I don't know what kind of body of water it is, right?
For sure, for sure.
But yeah, and then a bunch of these trees are just out there. It's just like so quiet. There's like no city noise. I was like, I think it's time for me to like make the next step. And also I think it's time for me to like move towards that goal because that was the last goal that I told my dad before he passed away. I was like, I think I can do it. Like I
Mm.
don't know why, like I have this baseless self-confidence, but I think I can make this like television show and this movie. So I told Michelle that I was like, I think, yeah, I think I want to like be in the talks of uh retiring, you know? Like it's not because of anything with uprisers. I love uprisers. Um, I stand by that mission to this day, you know?
Hmm.
And I was like, I just have to go because I need to push myself in this direction because I know that like my passion is there. So that happened. I went there like I forget when it was. I think it was like maybe right before Complex Con.
Mm.
I went to a dance battle called So Do You Think You Can Dance? It was hosted by Quest Crew.
Mm.
And I competed with Clay. And I had hit him up like the week of. And I didn't know it was 2v2, so I was initially just gonna go compete until I saw that you needed a partner. I was like, oh fuck, like I don't have a partner.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any friends. So I was like, whatever. I was just like, I guess I'll just go watch. So I hit him up and he's like, yo, you trying to compete? I was like, oh, like I don't have a partner. And he was like, you want to be my partner? So then we competed and then we freaking won,
Dope.
which is like, so, yeah, we were we were just battling in pajamas because like I had two sets of pajamas. Like one was like this set that like um my dad never opened. So like I had it in my car and then like for some reason I was like, we're just gonna be the pajama brothers. And then like I
Dope.
brought like my fancy pajamas. I have my sister bought me a pair of like fancy pajamas,
Uh-huh.
like a full suit, right? So then we were just there, we're like battling in this full ass suit, and I had such a great time, man. Like I forgot like how much I love dancing, like being in front of people, like being in front of a crowd. I love performing, you know, like so after I won that battle, I was talking to a friend over there, so I'm going to be traveling overseas to go teach dance. I can't say too much of my details because of reasons. But I will be traveling overseas to do that, to spread the good word of dance, I guess. And I'm also going to Korea as well. Um, I'm gonna be able to see my grandpa. I haven't been able to see him since like middle school and like
Wow.
yeah. So that's another full circle moment that's been coming for a long time where I've been dying to like see my well, not physically dying, but like I've been longing to see my
Right.
grandmother's grave and like get that
Mm.
sense of closure, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I say like you should go see those places.
Totally.
Get there's some places that can give you closure. So like
Yeah.
being physically in that space and also like coming to that like sort of like reflection, I feel
Hmm.
like is really important. So I'm gonna be able to do that for like the first time ever. Like I've never been to Korea.
Mm.
And the plan there is also so my last name is Kang. Um it also is in Korean it's Gang, right? Gang stands for river. So it also stems from Jinjugang, which is the clan that we come from.
Hmm.
And there's a river, there's a Jinju River. So the plan is to go there and float two lanterns on the river, one for my dad, one for my grandma, because my dad passed away over here in Vegas. She passed away in Korea. So
Hmm.
I wanted their like souls to meet. So I'm gonna float that down the river. And
It's
then
beautiful.
thanks, man. Yeah. So that's just been like I honestly didn't think I was gonna do it
Mm.
because the economy right now is like insane. Like, bro, like Silicon Valley Bank.
I'll tell you right now, this episode's not coming out like immediately, but yeah, the Silicon
Yeah,
Bank stuff, it's a lot.
the banks. Yeah, it's the biggest like bank failure since Washington Mutual, right?
Yeah.
Just like all this stuff like that's going on with the economy right now. Uh, like the toxic oil spills. Toxic oil spills. Maybe cut that part out. But there's just a lot of things that are happening with the economy right now, and also just like within politics
Mm-hmm.
that are really scary,
Mm-hmm.
and like, but for me to complete my mission of like letting my grandma and my dad soul meet, like that was like the thing that came first to me, because I had these other like job opportunities and they all like just kind of like fell through.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that and I was like, I'm just gonna full send into that. I'm just gonna say some stuff. Also make that Instagram post. I'm just gonna make it happen.
Right.
So yeah,
Put
the
it into
border
the
just
world.
opened up. Yeah. Um, Travel is much easier right now internationally with like a lot of COVID restrictions like popping, like opening up. So yeah, just super happy to like go travel overseas. So I'll probably be gone for like 7 months out of this year to Asia for the first time in my life.
Wow. It's exciting, man. Super exciting. I mean, I'm sure you're just gonna. I'm sure I was gonna ask you, like, are you scared? I'm sure it's gonna be the same thing. It's fucking scary, man. Right? Like, same thing
Hell
with
yeah,
jumping.
brother.
Yeah, like same
Hell
thing as
yeah, it's just
jumping into the
scary, bro.
field. But we're coming towards the end here. I had questions written, but you covered it all in your answers already. Um, but one of my last questions is, I went to your site and it's like your portfolio and all this, but in big text, you say you've had a blessed career so far. So you've done a lot of reflection. I could tell you're someone that's you reflect on your life, you reflect on your achievements, but like if you were to take a step back, you're young still, but just at the stuff you've achieved so far, what feelings or emotions come up with your portfolio, your life, your experiences? Like, what comes to the surface for you?
I mean, my initial thought is like bittersweet sometimes, right? Like I've had such like high, such really cool peaks and some really down lows. And when I wrote, I've had a blessed career so far in my life, I was like writing all this stuff. I was looking at all the people that I worked with and like the impact that I made on my community and see like the career, like how their careers have also flourished as like,
Mm-hmm.
as like part of like working together, because like I've met a lot of these people and they were just starting off. Like, do you know Jason Rodello by any chance? He's the motivational warrior guy,
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
the guy in the blue tracksuit,
mm-mm. I'm so
motivational warrior.
sorry.
Never seen him.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, like him, or like I have a few few dancer friends that like, I worked with them on videos. Like I've been friends, or like even my friend like Tristan at Pal. Um, I'm just like name dropping, but I've seen how their careers have like developed over time, and like just being able to see like how the work that I've done has made an impact on my friends and then also my community, just to see
Mm-hmm.
the impact that is made. If the work that I do can touch that many people, like at least I know I'm doing the right thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not for it was as much as like I need that personal gain. Like if it can positively impact my community, it can positively impact people around me and like build a better future for others, then like that's all I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I could ask you a lot more. As someone, like, I'm a big fan of dancing. I'm not a huge dancer myself. I think I kind of have moves, but my arms are too short. So like when I do certain moves, it looks kind of funny. But I think what you're doing is dope. I'm super excited to see your movie, your TV show, because it's gonna happen. I mean, you put so much into the world that
I'm Simu Luing that bitch. Like
you're doing it.
I'm just trying to Shang Chi and the Ten Rings it. like into existence,
It's
man.
happening, man. It's happening. I have some just silly questions to ask real quick, but before I get there, is there anything I didn't touch on? Anything quick you want to say before we get to this quick fire round?
Um, Thank you for throwing an event like that for the Long Beach community and also for Little Tokyo. Like I spent a lot of time in Little Tokyo, and like as somebody who spent a lot of time in Long Beach, for you to provide a safe space for people to come and also like feel support from the community and also to like, find some sorts of healing and also get some support. I think that like that means a lot to a lot of people,
Mm.
and I hope that you don't I don't know if people tell you, but like I hope your work doesn't go unnoticed. And I just want to let you know that you're appreciated.
I appreciate you, dog. No, I appreciate that a lot. No, throwing on that ripple effect walk. I mean, I didn't even know it touched you in this way, so I'm grateful to have had that impact. I think all of us at Changing Tides were really honored at the work we get to do and the way we're able to make such an impact. So, we're just motivated by the impact more than anything. But I appreciate your words for real. But with that said, I want to get into some quick little silly questions for you. Some people will think this is the hardest part, but I think it's just fun. So don't take it too serious. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. First one. If you can invite 5 people to dinner, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh my God. I'm so bad at answering questions fast. Invite people to dinner. I'm gonna say Hikaru Utada because I love Simple and Clean.
Okay.
Like that song, like you know what I'm saying? Like you're giving me. All right. Um, that song is fire. Uh, if you heard First Love too, that shit is gas. Um, to Oh my God. I wish I knew these in advance.
That's why it's fun, man. I like to
Oh
hit you on
my
the
God.
spot.
I'm stressing, bro. Like my thoughts are telling me Obama. Not that I really care about him like that.
It could be fun. Nice voice at the
Yeah.
dinner table.
Yeah, I guess I'll say Obama
Okay.
next. I don't know why. Dude, my intrusive thoughts are kicking in so hard right now because I'm just saying Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman,
Go for it.
and like by extension, Deadpool,
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds. Like
That's
three, like
4.
that's four. Are those all dudes? Gross. There's too many men at this table. Can I remove somebody?
Yeah, you can remove someone.
I'm just trying
Few
to make sure
people.
that there's like balance.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Maybe I'll just throw on a little bit more. Michelle Obama.
Okay. For sure. For sure.
Let's take out regular Obama. We're gonna throw in Michelle Obama. Okay,
Okay.
like forget about Barack real quick. Um, oh
I
my God,
know
I don't
it's
know why
tough.
I'm saying it. I don't know why I'm saying Iggy Azalea right now. Why?
Hey,
I wasn't even thinking about Iggy Azalea. I just saw like a video of her today, and this is what I'm thinking about.
go for it. That's your 5, man.
Just for dinner, just
Yeah.
casual.
I mean, who knows? You could maybe throw another one of these together down the road, but this is just the first of many, so why not, right?
Yeah.
Um, what's a skill you do not have but wish you did have?
Coding.
Which one?
Coding.
Coding. True.
I would love to love coding, bro. Like, I wish I had a knowledge of like system engineering and coding,
Mm.
and also maybe like mechanical engineering, right? Like, dude, I watch so many YouTube videos and I find it so sick. Like, I love robots.
For
I
sure.
love robots, and I'm also like, when I look at AI recently, like artificial intelligence stuff, like I'm super inspired by it. I was literally looking into a whole thing into like stable diffusion and all that shit. And I was like, wow, this is so crazy. Like it's gonna get easier for like the average user to get into it. But I was looking at like all the coding and stuff. I was like, I wish I was on that
It's insane.
swag right now. You know what I mean? It was like that
It's
shit is so
insane.
swag. Yeah.
It's insane.
Super interesting to
Um,
me.
I'm so scared of AI. I don't want to get into it, please. I like it. I like it, but I don't.
Everybody has it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to the next one. This one might be tough for you because some of them might be your homies, or your homies might be offended. But your top 3 favorite dancers right now,
Probably for dancers. That's
or
pretty
anyone that
easy.
you're like you'd bite from right now.
A bite. Um, I mean, I will say Melvin Tintin has always been at the top of my list, just because this fool has like depth, like DEPTH, like depth. Um, he just will pick up a style and just so gnarly with it. Like, dude has like insane, like fundamental understanding of like movement and like
For sure.
dance, and especially as like in a cultural sense and like a physical sense,
For
right?
sure. For sure.
And then also just like musical taste, stuff like that. Second dancer, I'll say Dom. My homie Dom LaShawn, Domino Falls, Dom Johnson. Third, I gotta give it up to the Queen, Rie Hata.
Hmm. My next one is, let's just say ABDC comes back tomorrow and they
Hmm.
hit you up. They're like, Kevin, we need you to create a crew right now, a brand new crew. What would your crew's name be?
The Ten Rings.
That's dope. Okay, that was a quick
Yeah.
one. That was
Dude, I have been
dope.
thinking about this. I was like, yo, there's gotta be a dance team that's called, because there you have like the Kinjis, you had like the
Mhm.
Jabberwockies.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, there's gotta be like a crew that just calls out the Ten Rings
that's dope.
because of Shang-Chi, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, that's a good one. And to round it out, sir, what would the title of your autobiography be?
Flower Boy.
Huh?
Yeah, that's actually a super easy answer. I've been thinking about this for a while.
That's dope, man.
I was like thinking about like writing a well, I have been in the process of like slowly like writing a book.
Dope.
Um, and also just to like chronicle things because like my memory is just like so bad now. So I've just been like writing all this stuff. But I would call it Flower Boy. One of the reasons is that like I have a lot of like symbolism with flowers in my life.
Yeah, with your
Um,
with the being in the mascot even. I mean,
yeah,
that's
with
one
like
of them
with
even.
Takashi Murakami, like
Right.
literally I have
Yeah,
that and
yeah.
that like yeah in the frame right now. Um, that so Michelle's name Hanabusa stands for House of Flowers.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um, another person that I worked with, the last name is Bloomfield.
Wow.
It's very like yeah, prolific like that. One of my other best friends' names is Calyx, which is like bunch of like literally is like a part of a flower.
Huh.
Like I just have a lot of like
Yeah,
symbolism
yeah.
with flowers in my life, and then also Flower Boy is a Korean word for like these really pretty boy assassins.
Interesting.
I don't know if you've heard about this. Yeah, so they just like that's kind of like where this like pretty boy culture comes from, where they're just these really almost like maybe like women passing like, dudes are just like super pretty, but then they would just be like assassins and just like
Interesting.
yeah. So Flower
Huh.
Boy.
That's dope. I'm actually. I mean, I'm not surprised because you had so many other connections, but like there was no mention of Tyler the Creator, which is kind of dope that you had so many other connections because that's where my mind immediately goes every time. But the new Flower Boy is here. I'm calling it. Kevin Kang is the new Flower Boy, and I still can't get over Riz Al Ghul. That was the craziest use of the word Riz I've ever heard, and I'm storing that forever. But Kevin, my man, thank you so much for sharing. Some of the stuff that you said today has really touched me, like the impact of ripple effect. I'm really grateful to have had be a part of changing tides and make that type of impact. When you're back, I'm looking forward to whatever Michelle puts together or someone puts together uprisers for when you're back. Good luck overseas, and thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right, man. Matt, thank you for having me. Um, it's been an honor, man. Thank you so much. And like keep doing what you're doing for the community and keep this up, bro.
For
I
sure,
know
man.
you're helping a lot of people.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you again to Kevin for being on the podcast and going so in depth about his mental health journey and sharing his process and being so candid. I talked to Kevin like during, before, and after the interview, being like, "Hey, like, are you comfortable? Are you sure? Like, let me know if you want to cut anything." He's like, "No, I'm an open book. Share it. Like, I think it's good to get it out there." So that said, Kevin, good luck with everything in the future, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon. Maybe not soon because you're going to be gone for a long time, but maybe when you're back. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to our show for episodes releasing every other Tuesday and give us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform. If you would like to support our podcast and help us grow, you can do so with a donation to the link at the bottom of the episode description. To hear more about Changing Tides, follow us on Instagram at LTSC_Changing Tides, or check out our website, thechangingtides.org. Let's continue to change the tide on mental health.